resources, their communities together for face these challenges, and then also to give a message to the rest of humanity. And thanks to God, it was well received by other groups and by United Nations, and finally was accepted that every year there would be a day, 5th of February, to celebrate this. And it was very interesting that later Pope Francis also had the encyclical letter Universal Fraternity, which I think is also one of the outcome of his engagement in this discussion. And we find that what Pope Francis is concerned about in the Catholic tradition, and what he's concerned about all humanity, what he's planning for his community, and with Muslim leader about humanity, are all the same. It's not that we Muslims and Christians, for example, when we are together we talk something, and then when we are separate we have to talk about other things. No, we have the same challenges, the same problems, the same issues. And the only time we can be hopeful that we can have God's support is when we can work together. If we are united, certainly God is with us. If we are divided, God is not with all of us, at least to say the minimum. Because some of us might have gone wrong that we are divided. I'm not saying everyone will be wrong, but we cannot be right on all sides and be divided. It's impossible. So what I would like to share is a little bit introduction to this common humanity that the document talks about from Islamic perspective. And it may look very obvious that we are all brothers and sisters in God, but unfortunately sometimes we ignore even some of the most obvious things. You know, we have this in Persian literature, and I'm sure it's similar to this available in other cultures, that when fish was asked, about water, said, "What is water?" Didn't know what is water. So many of us, unfortunately, ignore our common humanity to the extent that sometimes we allow ourselves to treat other human beings like animals, or even worse than animals. This is a sad reality that unfortunately has happened, but we need to remind ourselves of this basic common humanity. So when we read the Quran with this question in mind, what was God's plan for creation of human beings? So I think it's very clear that God had a special plan for creating human beings, and that was his best plan. For every creation he has planned, because we believe God is wise. God would not do anything without plan. But the best plan, the best part of his creation could be achieved by creating human beings. Even angels could not do this. The Quran says, just before creation of Adam, God told angels that I am going to create a human being, and when I blow into him from my spirit, you should prostrate before this creation. The angels, who are very nice, obedient servants of God, had a question. They didn't object, they didn't protest, but they had a question. They said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. Are you going to create a new creature that is going to shed blood and do mischief, while we are always glorifying you and praising you. But God said, there are things that you don't know. And then God showed the capacity of Adam for learning, etc. So even angels were not able to undertake this great task that God has reserved for human beings, to be vicegerent of God, to be representative of God on the earth. The angels were right that human beings are not going to do always nice things. Unfortunately, they are going, and they have actually proved that the angels were right to shed blood, to do mischief. But this doesn't mean to underestimate humanity and human beings. This means that human beings, if they are left to themselves, if they are disconnected from God, then they forget themselves. One of the beautiful concepts in the Quran is that you may forget yourself, not in the sense of forgetting your name or date of birth. No, it means that you may forget that you are a human being. You may forget the purpose of your creation. لا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم. Do not be like people who forgot God and then God made them forget themselves. So if we forget God, if we forget the responsibility, the task that God has given us, and we think just we are some, beings that we are here by chance, by accident, by explosion, and just everyone needs to enjoy themselves as much as they can. If they are not happy, they can, commit suicide and, kill themselves. If we think like this, we are underestimating great potentiality that God has put in us. And that is to reflect God to ourselves and to humanity. God wanted us to have godly life. God wanted us to manifest His love, His mercy, His kindness, His wisdom, His ability to reconcile. One of the best things that we can do to resemble God is to work for reconciliation, for unity. Our first Imam, Imam Ali, in his final will, gave few instructions. One of them was, Allah fi salah dhat bainakum. Remember God in bringing reconciliation. Because I heard from the Prophet that if you reconcile even between two people, is better than 1 year of prayer and fasting. Not that you don't pray and fast and just do reconciliation. You pray and fast so that God gives you a strength to bring reconciliation, because reconciliation is a work that needs dedication and energy. You get energy from prayer and fasting, but you spend it on bringing people together. And imagine if instead of just bringing one person to another person, you bring communities together. If you bring the whole humanity together, how amazing that would be. On the other hand, God says it's the job of people like Pharaoh that they divide people. وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا. Pharaoh was dividing people. Those who, like Pharaoh, think that they are unique and everyone has to serve them and worship them, because Pharaoh reached the point that he claimed to be God. Even he said, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. He said, I am your highest Lord. He was not happy to be the second Lord or third Lord. He said, I am your highest Lord. because there is no limit to arrogance. When you go to that road of arrogance, there is no limit. So it's, I am your highest Lord. But what was this false Lord doing? He was dividing people. He was oppressing people. He was killing people. To prevent birth of Moses, he issued order, every boy born to the Jewish community must be killed. This was Pharaoh's job. But God had a plan. God wanted Moses to come to save. So if we go the path of Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, which is the path of God, we should work for unity. If we are doing our own selfish game, but maybe carry the name of certain faith, this is not godly. This is not God's work. Whoever justifies killing people or mistreating people or even depriving people of dignified life in the name of religion, this is absolutely false, not acceptable. The sign of people who are turning towards God is always to bring goodness. Quran says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ. Who has better faith than someone who turns his face to God and does ihsan, goodness, kindness, bring positive change to this world, bring love to this world, bring charity to this world. If you are with God, if you have any understanding of scriptures that gives you right to kill people, to mistreat people, to bring corruption, damage, destruction, this is wrong. You can only bring goodness if you are moving towards God. So, the plan of God was to create human beings because they have the highest potential for showing unlimited love and perfection and all the virtues. There is no limit in what good we can do, and there is no limit, unfortunately, in what bad we can do. But the plan was to do good things. But he didn't force his plan. What we understand from our scriptures is that we are given free will. God has a plan for us, and he informs us of his plan, and he helps us with all the means and guidance that we need, but he doesn't impose his plan. He wants unity, but he says, I'm not going to impose. لو شاء الله لجمعهم على الهدى. Had he wanted, he would have brought all people together by force. But unity cannot be made under sword. Unity must be made by listening to the word. We should listen to the word of God and work for unity. And if we are united, then we are better able to reflect God. In Christianity, it is said that we are all created as image of God. In Islam, we say God has given from his spirit to us. But is it for human beings who are disconnected? Is it for human beings who have only individualistic approach? No. In my understanding, human beings are image of God, or God has given his spirit to us so that we can have unity. It is only with our unity that we can reflect the unity of God. Thanks to God, with our Focolare friends in many countries, we are working under this project of unity of God and unity in God. If we believe in one God, we should get united. There is no way that you love your parents and you fight your siblings. Can you know any father or mother who would say to siblings, just respect me, but if you boycott each other or fight each other, no problem, just respect me? No. Even if you worship your parents, but you fight with your siblings, parents are not going to be happy. How God is going to be happy if we fight or boycott each other? How can God be happy if someone is starving and I am just enjoying my life? I don't think any of us, whether we are Muslims or Jews or Christians or other faiths who believe in God, would be able to accept that God would allow us to enjoy our peaceful life and then ignore suffering of people who don't have peace. Certainly it's not possible. So I very much admire the good work which is taking place in Scotland, and I know that this is an ongoing work for unity. May God bless you, and may God bless the organizers and all the people who are present, and may God help us to be able to see in full what He expects from each of us and from us together. Thank you very much.